Today, Ryan officially divorced Olivia. To celebrate his newfound freedom, he threw a party and invited a bunch of friends, including my wife, Ava, and me. Ava was Ryan's lawyer. Without her, the case wouldn't have gone so smoothly, and he certainly wouldn't have come out on top in the asset division. So, naturally, his first toast was to her. Ava, thank you. I won't say much more. It's all in this drink. Ava frowned slightly and declined. I'm on medication. I can't drink. I shot her a strange look. She wasn't sick, so what medication could she be taking? Ever since Ava and I started dating, she's always been the delicate type, needing me to baby her through any minor discomfort. So I was positive she wasn't on any medication. I just couldn't figure out why she would lie about it. Ryan's hand, holding the wine glass, froze midair, and he just stood there awkwardly. He gave a bitter smile. It's okay, Ava. I'll drink it then. A flash of worry crossed Ava's eyes as she watched Ryan down the drink. She bit her lip without saying a word, her brow furrowed with a hint of reproach. Ryan was genuinely happy today. In the nearly 6 months since Olivia's affair, he had grown more and more dejected. But today he was in rare high spirits, moving between friends, talking, drinking, and having a great time. Ava, on the other hand, seemed completely distracted. She knocked over my plate twice, and when soup splashed onto my shirt, she didn't even seem to notice, just instinctively grabbed a napkin to wipe the table. I opened my mouth to say something, but she suddenly stood up. I'm going to the restroom. Before I could react, she was already out of the private room. Where's Ryan? I asked a friend next to me. He just stepped out, probably to the restroom too. Hey, where's your Ava? I frowned and stood up. Where are you going? To get some air. There was a window at the end of the hallway, and I genuinely just wanted some fresh air. I wasn't looking to catch anyone in the act, and I certainly didn't expect to. But around the corner, Ryan was standing with his head down, silent, one arm draped over Ava's shoulder, practically holding her in an embrace. Ava didn't pull away. Instead, she took some pills from her pocket and handed them to him. Then she twisted the cap off a water bottle and had him take small sips. She shot him a look, feigning anger. Serves you right. Ryan smiled helplessly. Ava, you're right, but with so many people watching, I couldn't just refuse. I had to save face. Ava snorted. Save face? Did you forget you have gastritis? Ryan shook his head and smiled. Wondering now and then won't kill me. Ava pouted and pushed him away. Fine. If you're okay, then I'm done worrying about you. Ryan laughed, gently pulling her back and coaxing her. All right, it's my fault. I know you care about me. Let's go back before James starts to worry. The second they stepped out from the corner, I left. One was my best friend. The other was the woman I loved most. How was I supposed to face that? But looking back now, it seems I had it all coming. Ryan and I grew up together. He was my best friend, my brother. We'd known each other for over 20 years, and I trusted him more than anyone. He trusted me the same way. That's why when he found out Olivia was cheating, he wasn't worried I'd laugh at him. He came to me first. He was in a really dark place during that time. He was obsessed with why Olivia had cheated, why she had betrayed him. He wasn't thinking about what to do next, just stubbornly demanding an answer. I drank with him, played cards, and took him to the old arcade we used to hang out at in high school, where we'd play games all night. During that period, Ava and I fought a lot. She felt I was neglecting her for Ryan. But what could I do? I've had a brother like him my whole life, a guy who followed me everywhere. In elementary school, he'd insist we go to the bathroom together, and if I didn't have to go, he'd just hold it, saying that's what best friends do. In middle school, we went to the same school, and he was always trailing behind me, calling out my name. When I ran for class president, he campaigned for me. When I got into trouble, he had my back. Even in college, though we didn't see each other as often, he'd check in every few weeks, whether I reached out to him or not. When I was first looking for a job, I hit a rough patch, and without a second thought, he said, "Stay with me. You can move out whenever you find a job and get on your feet." People say that even the best of friends will fight if they live together. We never had a single argument. I have a quick temper, and he was always the one to calm me down, offering advice and weighing the pros and cons for me. He's mild-mannered and often let people walk all over him without saying a word. Once, when his boss tried to rip him off, I took some guys and trashed the guy's shop. A lot of people used to say he was my shadow, but he would always tell me to let it go, that it was better to keep the peace. With a friend like that, how could I possibly turn my back on him when he was at his lowest? So I tried my best to mediate, to keep both him and Ava happy. Eventually, Ryan decided he wanted a divorce, but Olivia wouldn't agree, so I had to go to court. "James," he said, "isn't Ava a lawyer? And a really good one? Do you think you could ask her to take my case? I'd rather pay family than some stranger." Of course, I wanted to do everything I could to help him, but I knew it would be complicated. Whether Ava would even want to get involved was another question entirely. Taking on a friend's case and charging them for it is awkward. Besides, Ava is her own person and I'm me. If it were up to me, I'd do it for free, but in a marriage, you have to discuss these things. So I told him I'd ask, but I couldn't make any promises. Sure enough, when I brought it up with Ava, she looked hesitant. "Honey, I've been thinking about it. You always say your friend is a bit of a pushover. I'm worried that if things get confrontational, he'll back down or agree to a bad deal. And then what am I supposed to do? From a strategic standpoint, a passive attitude is the worst thing you can have in a negotiation. Plus, if the outcome isn't what he wants, it could affect your friendship. Why don't you just tell him I don't usually handle civil cases, that it's not my area of expertise?" I nodded and passed the message along to him. Later, over drinks, he poured his heart out to me. He said he'd finally found some stability in his life, only for his parents to pass away one after another. He'd thrown himself into his career to provide for his family, and then Olivia cheated on him and cleaned out most of their accounts. Now his relatives wouldn't talk to him, and his friends were avoiding him. He said he must have the worst luck in the world, like he'd offended some higher power because nothing was going right. He spent half the night telling me how lost he was, begging me to help him no matter what. His words and a couple of beers got to me, and I decided to handle it myself. I made some calls, got the address for Olivia and her new guy, and planned to give them a little scare, something just on the edge of the law. But while we were planning it, Ava stopped me dead in my tracks. The look in her eyes was furious, like she could see right through me. "If I had known you were going to do something like this," she said, "I would have just taken the case myself." And so, Ava ended up taking the case. But after that, she and Ryan started getting closer. As she walked past me, she said, "This is all my fault." When I got back to our table, Ryan was sitting in my seat, laughing and talking with Ava. Ava was smiling, subconsciously eating the food Ryan put on her plate, as if it was something they had done 100 times before. Ryan saw me first. His expression froze for a second before he quickly stood up and waved me over. "James, where'd you go? I didn't even see you leave." I pushed his arm away. "Just want to get some air." For a moment, Ryan's eyes looked vacant. He put on a smile like nothing was wrong. "Well, sit down. I'm going to go chat with those guys over there." I went back to my seat and sat down, my face a blank mask. I lit a cigarette, then immediately stubbed it out in the ashtray. Ava looked at me, confused. "What's wrong with you?" I looked back at her just as puzzled. "What do you mean, what's wrong with me?" Ava frowned and went back to eating sullenly. In all our years of marriage, any time I looked even slightly unhappy, she took it as a personal attack, like I was disrespecting her. It was as if I was expected to be cheerful all the time, no matter what. Just then, a few guys at the table started insisting Ryan have a drink with them. Ava got that worried look on her face again. I looked at her, found the whole situation ridiculous, and let out a laugh. She glanced at me, and then, as if she realized something, quickly looked away, staring down at her plate. I stood up, poured a glass of wine, and said to Ryan politely, "Buddy, you've had a drink with everyone else. You can't turn mine down, can you?" He laughed awkwardly, then said politely, "Of course not, James. How could I refuse a drink from you?" I glanced over at Ava's face, a mixture of anger and worry, then back at Ryan's helpless expression as he drank. I have to admit, it felt pretty good. After he finished the first glass, I poured him another. The people around us were all commenting on what great friends Ryan and I were. By the end of the night, Ryan had drunk a lot, but I think I drank even more. In a drunken haze, I felt Ava grab my hand, and I instinctively pushed her away. In the end, it was Ryan on my left and Ava on my right, helping me into the car. Ava said to Ryan, "Why don't you ride with us? I could drop you off first." Ryan shook his head. "No, it's fine, I'll get a cab. You just get James home." Thinking I was completely passed out, Ava insisted, "It's so late, and you've been drinking. I'd feel better if I knew you got home safe. It's on the way." Ryan suddenly lowered his voice. "Ava, don't. I'm fine, really. Just take James home." I heard the whole exchange, feeling nothing, then closed my eyes and rolled over. In the end, Ryan didn't get in our car. The drive home was completely silent. No music, no talking. That night, Ava stayed up all night in the living room watching TV. I, on the other hand, slept like a rock and, for the first time in a long time, had a good dream. Ryan's case was a mess from the start. Just as Ava had predicted, Ryan's personality made him indecisive. A lawyer needs the facts to build a strategy, but Ryan could never get to the point, and he'd gloss over the most important details. Sometimes it was so hard to watch him hesitate that I'd lose my patience and push him to just face the issue head-on. Ava sighed and pulled me aside. "Honey, let me talk to him alone. Maybe he's embarrassed to talk about his private life in front of you. It's a humiliating situation, after all." That day, they talked in her office for over an hour. When they came out, the tension in Ryan's face was gone, like a huge weight had been lifted. "Thank you so much, James, Ava," he said. I asked what happened. "Ava is so understanding," he said. "She really respects my feelings." He looked at me with an envy in his eyes that made my stomach drop. But I didn't dwell on it. I asked Ava what she did. "Nothing much," she said. "I just had a real talk with him. I told him every family has its problems, and that some things you just have to face. I encouraged him, comforted him. You know how men are. Give them a little respect, and they'll open up. For now on, I'll just communicate with him directly." And sure enough, from that day on, the case started moving forward smoothly. At first, Ryan would still give me updates on how things were going. I'm not sure when it happened, but we started talking less and less. Then one day, I called him to ask for an update. He said casually, "Progress?" "I'm not sure. Ava's handling everything." I sighed. "All right, I'll ask her tonight." "No need," he said. "Ava's right here next to me. I'll put her on." And just like that, I was talking to my own wife through my best friend's phone. I don't remember what Ava said. I wasn't really listening. All I could think was that their relationship seemed a little too close. Ava teased me. "What? Are you upset that I'm getting along with your friend?" I asked her casually, "So, do you still think Ryan is a pushover who's likely to back down?" At the time, Ava was on her laptop, taking a quick break from work. She laughed. "Actually, he's a pretty interesting guy." All these little clues were pulling the string of my suspicion tighter and tighter. I think that string finally snapped one early morning. Ava and I were both asleep when her phone suddenly rang. She answered it, half awake. I don't know what she heard, but a second later, she shot up in bed. "I'm on my way," she said urgently. "Ryan, don't open the door for her. Don't say a word to her, but make sure you're recording. I'm calling the police first. Wait for me." Then she started scrambling to find her clothes. Ava wasn't like me. I'm pretty laid back, but she's always been methodical about everything. Even though we'd rubbed off on each other over the years, I had never seen her in such a panic. I had a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. I asked her what was wrong. "Olivia went to Ryan's place again," she said. "She's threatening to kill herself on his doorstep if he doesn't open the door. You go back to sleep, I'll handle it." I blurted out, "Why didn't he call me first? What good are you going to do?" It would make more sense for me to go over there with a few guys. Ava turned around, stunned, her eyes wide with disbelief. "James, what is wrong with you? He's her best friend. His parents are dead. His wife cheated on him. He's being dragged through the courts. Are men's hearts made of stone? How can I look at you and not see a single ounce of sympathy? Ryan only has you. Have you ever once shown that you care? Every time he asks to hang out, you say you're busy. When have you ever been there for him when he needed you? Is this how you treat a friend?" "Yes, he's my best friend. But when he had a problem, the first person he called was my wife." Ava was so furious, she practically slammed the door on her way out. I stood there for a long time, trying to get my emotions under control, and finally decided to follow her. When I got there, the door to Ryan's apartment was open, and I could hear his sighing voice from inside. She almost slit her wrists right there on the doorstep. She said if she died, It would be my fault, that she'd haunt me forever. Ava, maybe I shouldn't be pushing her so hard. Ava's voice was gentle. It's okay. She won't really do it. Ryan, look at me. Trust me, okay? When you're like this, it makes me. I didn't listen to the rest. I walked straight in and said, "What are you two doing?" Looking back, I realized I was just fooling myself. I didn't want to hear anymore. I didn't want them to keep talking. I didn't want to hear the things I was afraid to hear. Lately, Ava had been leaving for the law firm very early. By the time I woke up, she was already gone. She'd make me breakfast, leave it on the table with a note reminding me to eat. I'd stare at the food on the table for a long time, but in the end, I never touched it. One afternoon, while I was sending my guys out to collect on a debt, I got a call from my property manager. He asked if we had left a faucet on at our old place because the downstairs neighbor was complaining about a leak. It was ridiculous. No one had lived in that house for ages. Even the main water valve was shut off. How could it possibly be leaking? I rushed over, and sure enough, it was our unit. The bathroom faucet was on full blast, and water was flooding the floor. I quickly shut it off, then went to apologize to the downstairs neighbor and work out a deal for the damages. I put on a smile, listened to all their complaints, and finally got it all sorted out. As soon as the neighbor was gone, my expression turned cold. The property manager asked if I had rented the place out, who was living there now. Yeah, who was living there? It was Ryan. Surprising, right? I was surprised too. When I saw the picture of him and his son on the shelf, the blood rushed to my head, and my fingernails dug so deep into my palms they nearly drew blood. Had I been completely blind? I thought I was calm, but when I took out my phone to make a call, I saw that my hand was shaking. How pathetic. These hands, which had been in more than a few fights, were trembling like a leaf. I took a deep breath, fighting the urge to scream, and called Ava. No answer. I called Ryan. No answer. What was I supposed to think? What could I possibly think? Without a second thought, I drove straight to Ava's office. She might be there, she might not. If she was, what would I even say? My mind was a mess the whole way there. I never expected to find Ryan in Ava's office. Ava was sitting at her desk, and Ryan was standing behind her, leaning over with one hand on the table and the other on her mouse. And Ava, she had her head tilted, looking up at him with total focus. I knew that look. I knew exactly what it meant. With a loud bang, I shoved the door open, and it slammed against the wall. Soon, it was just Ava and me in the office. "Honey," she said, "I want to help Ryan. He quit his job. He's at a real low point, so he came to me for advice." I suggested he look into getting a master's degree in law. Whether he wants to continue his education or work in the legal field, it's a good option for him. Our firm is also hiring. Ava seemed like a complete stranger to me. "I never knew you were so dedicated to your clients." She looked at me, annoyed. "Don't be like that. There's nothing going on between Ryan and me. I have nothing to hide." I just nodded. "Got it." But as I turned to leave, she grabbed my sleeve. "What's that supposed to mean?" I looked at her, baffled. "Isn't it obvious? Do whatever you want." When I opened the door, Ryan was standing right outside. He looked anxious, his face pale. "James, it's not what you think. Let me explain." No need to explain. Ava already made everything perfectly clear. That seemed to scare him even more. He shot a quick glance at Ava, then back at me. "What did she tell you?" I just smirked. Does it matter? The hair on Ryan's arms looked like it was standing on end. I've said that to a lot of people, and things usually didn't end well for them. But then Ava suddenly spoke up. "Honey, don't threaten him. There's really nothing between us. I swear." Ryan let out a sigh of relief. I knew them both too well. Sometimes I was grateful for how well I knew them, and other times I hated it. "By the way," I said to Ryan, "you forgot to turn off the faucet when you left today. Be more careful next time. You know my parents left me that house. I need you to be out in 3 days. And Ava, I'll need the key back." Ryan's eyes went wide, and he stared at me in horror, his face getting paler by the second. Ava stepped forward, about to say something. I just shook my head at her. "There are a lot of people here. You don't want me to make a scene, do you?" I walked away without looking back. I heard later that after I left, Ryan passed out. Ava told me when she came back to pack her things. I let him stay at the old house because Olivia wouldn't stop harassing him. "You're his best friend. You know the state he's in. He quit his job and just stayed home because he was completely overwhelmed by everything. And now, because of you threatening him, his anxiety is even worse. I was just trying to help him. I was going to talk to you about it, but you're always so suspicious, and we didn't want you to get the wrong idea. She continued, I know you're angry with me right now, so let's just give each other some space. I have a big criminal case that our team is handling, and it could be a huge opportunity for me. I'm just going to stay at the office for a few days. Ava, I called after her. You're really going to the office, right? Ava looked at me, her eyes cold as ice. James, what do you want from me? Am I not allowed to have my own career? Then she slammed the door and left without a moment's hesitation. I suddenly remembered something Ryan had told me over drinks one night. He said he had screamed at Olivia, Why are you doing this to me? Didn't you say you'd always be by my side, that you'd always support me and encourage me no matter what? And Olivia, she just gave him a faint smile, like she was talking to a stranger about the weather. She said, Everything in this world changes. Why can't I? Why can't my feelings for you change? Ryan gave a bitter laugh that day. And the craziest part is, she was the one who cheated, she was the one who fell out of love, but in the end, she had the nerve to say she never even thought about divorcing me. As if not divorcing me was some huge favor she was doing for me. The next afternoon, I went to the hospital. On the way, I stopped by Ava's law firm. She wasn't there. Her colleague told me, It's lunchtime, she's probably at the hospital. She's been going there every day, right on time lately. The colleague stopped halfway through her sentence, looking at me awkwardly. She's just a kind person, good to everyone. You shouldn't read too much into it. I just smiled and left. Was Ava kind? No, not really. In fact, she could be a bit cold. She was always very clear about what was her business and what was someone else's. In her own words, a lack of empathy is part of my professional ethics. It's a sign of respect for myself and for others. For all the years I'd known her, she never did anything that could be misinterpreted. If she was good to someone, it was because she genuinely cared. When I got to the hospital, Ava was gently trying to get Ryan to eat. You have to eat something. Your stomach is a mess. You can't keep doing this to yourself. Think about it. Your parents wouldn't want to see you like this. Ava, you're so good to me. But I don't think James will ever forgive me. Ava sighed. That's just how he is. I'll talk to him again. And I'll talk to him about that other thing, too. Talk to me? About what? I was confused. But Ryan suddenly grabbed Ava's shoulder. Don't tell James. This is my problem. It has nothing to do with you two. I'll handle it myself. Don't drag James into this. Ava looked worried, and her hand unconsciously brushed against Ryan's. When she realized what she'd done, she quickly pulled her hand back. I just stood there in the doorway, numb, watching the whole scene. A sharp pain shot through my chest. I clenched my jaw, trying to use one pain to block out the other. What is it you wanted to talk to me about? I asked. The moment they saw me, Ryan looked terrified, and Ava quickly stood up, putting some distance between them. Ryan looked at me in a panic, trying to force a smile. James, you're here. I looked at him without any expression, then turned to Ava. Go on. What did you want to talk to me about? Nothing. It's nothing, Ryan said immediately. Ava stepped forward. Honey, there's something I need to ask you for help with. I gestured for her to continue. Ryan tried to stop her, but Ava didn't give him the chance. James, she said, let's get a divorce. James, it's not easy for Ryan raising a kid on his own, and now Nico's school enrollment is a huge problem because of their residency status. Let's just help him this one last time. As soon as Nico's school situation is sorted out, we can get remarried. Okay. I never thought I would hear such a ridiculous proposal. I thought there had to be something wrong with my hearing. What? Ryan's face was pale, and he was shaking his head frantically. James, no, that's not it. Ava's just overthinking things. I can handle it myself. But Ava was like a runaway train. Honey, let's just get a temporary divorce. Ryan kept waving his hands. James, she's just confused. It's her lawyer brain going into overdrive. That's the only reason she'd come up with such a crazy idea. Ava looked at me, trying to be persuasive. It's no big deal, James. Immigration lawyers do this kind of thing all the time. Fake marriages, fake divorces. It's very common. You just never heard of it, so it sounds like a big deal. But sometimes you have to bend the rules. A marriage certificate, a divorce certificate, They're just pieces of paper. Nico's future is what's important. It's just a formality. Her words made me sick to my stomach. Silently, I took the divorce papers I had just drafted and stuffed them back in my bag. Ava, I said, you're dreaming. And I thought to myself, if this is how it's going to be, then we need to have a serious talk about the division of our assets. As I was leaving the hospital, Ava chased after me. She grabbed my hand, her face a mask of confusion. James, let's talk. I sneered. Talk about what? Divorce? Ava, I can't believe you have the nerve. Ava frowned. A fake divorce. I just want to help him. Ava, do you even believe that yourself? I'm telling you the truth. Why won't you believe me? I shot back sarcastically. Fine. I'm in no hurry. Or you could always sue me. I bet you've never had to represent yourself before, have you? Ava looked at me seriously, a hint of hurt in her eyes. Honey, I'm trying to discuss this with you, she said. I don't want a real divorce. This is just a last resort. I thought for a moment, then nodded. Ava, are you out of your mind? That excuse might work on you, but it's not going to work on me. If you want to convince me, you're going to have to do better than that. Ava was about to say something else, but her phone rang. I turned to leave. She started to follow me, then hesitated. After glancing at the caller ID, she said, We'll talk about this later. I stared at my own hands for a moment, then turned and walked away. As I left, I glanced back and saw Ava's retreating figure as she hurried back into the hospital. Ryan said he wanted to talk. I agreed. We met in an old restaurant we used to go to all the time. Ryan didn't look good. He looked sick, completely worn out. When he saw me, he stood up awkwardly. James, you're here. Sit down. What can I get you to drink? I ordered a pot of tea and sat down, tapping my fingers lightly on the cup. Go on, I said. What did you want to say? Ryan gave a forced smile. James, don't listen to Ava. She's just worried about my kid's school situation. I'll figure it out myself. I can't keep bothering you and her. Ryan was smart. For once, he was lumping Ava and me together, making it sound like we were both on his side. But it was too late for that. Ryan, are you in love with Ava? He shook his head frantically. No, of course not. How could I possibly be in love with her? Then I don't get it. If you don't love her, why are you leading her on? I'm not. Ryan denied it vehemently. James, I swear I'm not. I just shook my head and smiled. Ryan, we're adults. We know about boundaries. We're both men. Do I really need to spell out what certain actions mean? Do you really think your relationship is just lawyer and client? Doctor and patient, landlord and tenant, they all have boundaries. Do you really think you haven't crossed them? And giving hints, not every woman is going to be shameless enough to make the first move. You two are pretty in sync, aren't you? I finished with a smile, my fingernails scraping against the teacup, making a harsh, grating sound. Ryan's face was as white as a sheet. He looked at me, terrified. James, I swear I didn't. I stared at him coldly. You didn't? Ryan, I have to admit, you're good with women. You really know how they think. Remember what you used to say when I'd ride in your car? You said your passenger seat was only for Olivia or for your girlfriend. I told you that you were being ridiculous, that I was a guy. So what did it matter? But you said it did matter, that women care about those little details. So I have to ask, what were you thinking when you let Ava sit in your passenger seat? Ryan froze. I pointed across the street. I was over there before you arrived. I had a pretty good view. So I saw very clearly that Ava arrived with you. And when you got out of the car, she stood on her toes to fix your scarf for you. Ryan opened his mouth to speak, but I cut him off. Don't tell me she's just a kind person who's worried about her client. Ryan, if you say that, I'm going to have to assume you think I'm an idiot. And if that's your attitude, then this conversation is over. What do you say? Ryan slumped back into his chair. I looked at him, feeling nothing. James, I was wrong, he said. I'm so sorry. I was really wrong. My parents died. My wife cheated on me. I suddenly felt like I had nothing left to live for. It was like I was still me, but everything else in the world had nothing to do with me anymore. James, I never thought anything would happen with Ava. I got addicted to her kindness, to her concern, and that's what led to all this. He said he was just empty inside and needed a woman to fill that void. And unfortunately for me, that woman happened to be my wife. I'm sorry, James. I was wrong. From the moment Ava suggested the fake divorce, I knew I was wrong. Don't worry. Nothing happened between us. I'll draw a line, and I'll give her back to you. We'll never see each other again. James, please just forgive me this one time. I gave him a non-committal, mocking smile. You're only realizing this now. I said mockingly. Buddy, you're still not being honest. So when you had an emergency in the middle of the night, your first instinct was to call her, not me? If I hadn't shown up that night, do you really think it's normal for a man and a woman to be alone together like that? She had the nerve to let you stay in my family's house, just out of the kindness of her heart. Do you think that's normal? You're her client, and she's planning out your career for you, even trying to get you a job at her firm. Does that seem normal to you? You say you were just addicted to her kindness and concern. Do you even believe that when you say it out loud? You two were practically attached at the hip, and you're telling me you only realized it was wrong when she suggested the fake marriage? Come on, James. It must have felt good, right? My woman, falling all over herself to be good to you, even willing to divorce me for you. Must have been a real thrill. Ryan just shook his head. He seemed incapable of doing anything but shaking his head. Stop pretending, Ryan. A minute ago, you said you would give her back to me. You used the word back. That means you already thought of her as yours, didn't you? So I wasn't wrong. You two have already confessed your feelings to each other, haven't you? Ryan looked up, shocked, staring at me in disbelief, as if he couldn't understand how I knew. Ryan, I've known you for over 20 years. No one knows you better than I do. My words shattered his defenses. Remember the guy Olivia cheated on you with? I met him before your lawsuit started. He and Olivia weren't together anymore. He even had a new girlfriend, and they were planning to get married at the end of the year. He's doing great, seems really at peace, like he's been given a second chance. He wanted to tell you he was sorry, that he was just a kid back then, and he hoped you could forgive him. He said he's moved on, and he hopes you can too. I know Ryan, and he knows me. He knew what I was getting at, and he begged me to stop. But of course I kept going. Can you forgive him, Ryan? He destroyed your family, ruined your life, and then just walks away with a casual sorry. Why does he think you should be the one to clean up the mess he made? Why does he think you should just welcome him back with open arms? Ryan, how can he be such a piece of trash? I added, back then, I really thought of you as a brother. But I have to admit, I misjudged the situation. I never expected Olivia to keep clinging to you after that guy was out of the picture. Ryan was trembling all over. He asked me what I wanted. I sneered. A divorce. To make room for the two of you. Ryan's lips were trembling. I never thought about it before, and I never will. James, I won't be with her. He said it like he was taking an oath. Really? That's your business. I looked out the window. But, I said, if Ava heard you say that, she'd probably be heartbroken. The thought made me smile. Seeing me smile, Ryan quickly added, James, if you want a divorce, then divorce her. She doesn't deserve you. I stood up and looked at him with contempt. Before I left, I said, Ryan, don't call me your brother anymore. We stopped being brothers a long time ago. Ryan and I really did grow up together. From kindergarten all the way through to our marriages, we were the best of friends. Back then, our families lived close. He was downstairs and I was upstairs. When we were kids, his parents used to fight a lot, and he'd get scared and hide in the hallway, crying. I'd use my allowance to buy him snacks and bring him over to my place to play video games. I even stood up to his dad for him once when he was about to get hit. Later, I felt so bad for him that I started having him over for dinner and to do homework every day. Everyone knew that James's best friend was Ryan. Everyone knew that James always had Ryan's back. If I had food to eat, I made sure he was never hungry. I never kept score with him about who gave what and who got what. From kindergarten through high school, the farthest we were ever apart was the distance between two classrooms. We even stayed in touch through college. My dad used to joke, at this point I should just adopt you. And Ryan would nod and say, I basically grew up eating at your house. Calling James my brother and calling you dad just feels right. How pathetic to be betrayed like this by the person I trusted most in the world. I really did have it coming. Ava came home that evening. She said to me, Honey, let's just help Ryan. He's your best friend. You can't stand to see him like this, can you? I nodded. You're right. But I'm not a lawyer, Ava. I can't treat something like divorce as a game. It makes me uncomfortable. especially since a divorce involves dividing up assets. Even if it's a fake divorce, the legal process is real. She replied, "Honey, it's just a fake divorce. We'll get remarried as soon as this is over. If you're worried, I'll sign over all the assets to your name." I looked at the woman in front of me, saw how blinded she was by this infatuation, saw how she was lying to herself. I put on a helpless expression and said, "All right, let's get a divorce." The divorce process was surprisingly smooth and fast. She drafted the agreement herself. The house, the cars, the savings accounts, she gave them all to me. The day we got the divorce certificate, I told Ava to move out. She was stunned, completely confused. "What do you mean?" "The house is in my name," I said. "We're divorced. It's perfectly normal for you to move out." "But it was a fake divorce." "Who told you that?" "James, what are you talking about?" I laughed coldly. "Ava, I never had any intention of getting a fake divorce." Ava was smart. She understood immediately. "You tricked me." "Tricked you?" "I wouldn't say that." Ava stared at me helplessly for a long time. Finally, she said, "You don't have to do this. There was never anything between Ryan and me, and there never will be. I was just trying to help him. There's no future for us. That has nothing to do with me." "James, what is it that you want?" Looking at Ava's incredulous face, I found the whole thing laughable. "Ava, you really don't know me at all, do you? Did you really think I could just ignore what was going on between you and Ryan? Did you really think I, James, could just swallow my pride and accept that? I can't. But what am I supposed to do? I can't kill you both, so just stay away from me. Don't stand in front of me and make me sick." My words were harsh. A look of helplessness flashed in Ava's eyes. "James, don't do this to me." I just sneered at her and shook my head, gesturing for her to leave. Her face flushed with anger. "Fine," she said. "Don't you regret this?" Ava moved out with just a single suitcase. I asked her what she wanted me to do with the rest of her things. "Throw them out," she said. She was furious. She still thought I was just throwing a tantrum. I just smiled and nodded. "Got it." The next day, I cleared out all of Ava's personal belongings. Anything work-related, I had a courier send to her law firm. The moment the boxes arrived, Ava called me, her voice filled with indignation. "James, what are you trying to do?" "What am I trying to do? What a stupid question. Ava, can you please stop being so naive?" I hung up the phone and blocked her number. From that day on, I cut off all contact with Ava. Later, Ryan sent me a message. "James, I'm leaving. I won't bother you anymore." A few days after that, he sent another one. I gave Olivia full custody. She'll figure out his school situation. I was too stubborn before, thinking a mother like her would mess up our son. Now I realize that's the pot calling the kettle black. At the end of the day, she's still his mom. "James, I'm sorry." I deleted the message without replying. Not everything in this world can be forgiven and forgotten with a simple apology. It would be nice if you could just turn the page on things so easily. I don't know what happened between Ava and Ryan after that. I never asked. However, after Ryan told me his son's school situation was resolved, Ava apparently got very drunk. Her friend called me. "James, Ava's really drunk. Can you come pick her up?" I just said, "We're divorced." I thought I had made myself clear, but I never expected Ava to show up at my door herself. She smelled faintly of alcohol, but her eyes were clear. I knew she wasn't drunk. "What are you doing here?" I asked. Ava smiled at me. "Honey, Nico's school situation is all taken care of. Let's go get remarried tomorrow." I was silent for a few seconds. "Ava, are you kidding me?" Her lips pressed into a thin line. We had an agreement. It was a fake divorce. Her tone was so absurd. It was just like the first time she suggested the fake divorce. "Ava, I don't believe you can't see what's really going on. Is it fun, lying to yourself like this?" I tried to close the door, but Ava blocked it with her arm. "Honey, let's talk." "Talk." Ava and I had missed our chance to really talk a long, long time ago. Now, it was too late for any of it. But if she wanted to talk, fine, we would talk. I just wanted this whole ridiculous charade to be over. But I didn't know where to even begin. In the end, Ava was the one who spoke first. She said our fake divorce was just to help Ryan, and now that his son's issue was resolved, we should get remarried. Great. This was not off to a good start. The same old story, and it wasn't what I wanted to hear. If this is how you want to talk, I said, then I don't think there's any point. I started to get up to show her out, but Ava grabbed my arm. She screamed, "What do you want from me? I'm not going to contact Ryan anymore. I told you before, I was just helping him. This was the last time." Her question stunned me. What did I want? Was this about what I wanted? From the very beginning, she had never once asked for my opinion. In that moment, all the anger I had been suppressing for months finally exploded. I've been trying so hard to hold on to my dignity as a man. The pain that Ava and Ryan caused me wasn't just about the emotional betrayal. It was the complete collapse of trust. When they treated me like an idiot, carrying on right under my nose. When they humiliated me to this degree and still expected me to just take it. I started to question myself. What had I done to make people think they could just walk all over me? While I was being a loyal friend and a loving husband, were they laughing at me behind my back? Laughing at what a blind, stupid fool I was? Ava, you're the worst one in all of this. If you wanted to be with someone else, you could have just divorced me. But you had to choose Ryan. You knew he was my best friend, and you still carried on with him. Ava, you're disgusting. You say you're not going to contact Ryan anymore. Is that because you don't want to, or because he won't contact you? He blocked you, didn't he, Ava? Ryan's a scumbag, but you're even worse. You're coming back now because you think we can just patch things up, right? But why should I settle for you? Why on earth would you think, after everything you've done, that I would ever take you back? You talk about what a terrible person Olivia is, but Ava, how are you any different from her? Do I need to spell out for you? I ignore you, and you still come crawling back, refusing to admit you did anything wrong. Try to put all the blame on me. It's my fault for being suspicious, for having a dirty mind, for not being more understanding, for being selfish, right? Ava, you really are something else. My sudden outburst left Ava speechless. I never blamed you, she said. I never wanted to hurt you. James, I never wanted to hurt you. I sat down on the sofa and slowly closed my eyes. What do you mean you never wanted to hurt me? You fell for someone else, and you hid it from me. You probably felt like it was torture not being with him, but at the same time, you told yourself you were doing it for me, preserving the dignity of our family, protecting my reputation. You probably thought you were being noble. Ava, I see it all so clearly now. Your little affair with Ryan was mixed up with your desire to get back at me. You've been unhappy in our marriage for a long time, haven't you? You were tired of our relationship. You felt like I was holding you back, like I possessed you, so a little revenge on the side didn't seem like a big deal. You figured all I was losing was a little bit of my pride, while you were losing out on true love, right? But Ava, you're not as important as you think you are, and I'm not as pathetic as you seem to believe. I told you a long time ago, if you're not happy, we can get a divorce. Either one of us will be just fine without the other. Ava looked like she had been physically struck. Her whole body seemed to collapse. She leaned against a chair, muttering to herself, "It shouldn't be like this. We shouldn't have ended up like this." But how should we have ended up? When she accepted my proposal, she said she loved me and would love me for the rest of her life. When we got married, she said she loved me and would be with me forever. Later on, after years of living together, I once got the feeling she wasn't happy with me, and I brought up divorce. She cried and screamed at me, saying anything but that we could never get a divorce. But she still changed her mind. She forgot her promises, and she still expected me to wait for her. Why should I? Ava left, stumbling a little as she walked away. Her figure disappeared into the distance, looking lonely and defeated. She never came to see me again. Nothing more ever happened between her and Ryan. The last message I got from Ryan was not too long ago. He said he was moving back to his hometown. He said he couldn't stand to be in this city anymore. He wrote, "James, everything that happened was my fault. I deserve to be this miserable, but I've always thought of you as my brother. Whether you still think of me as your brother or not, you'll always be mine." I thought his words were a joke, but for the sake of the friendship we once had, I drove him back to his hometown myself. Epilogue. Ava's perspective. The way I met James was like something out of a movie. I was in college, working part-time as a tutor in an old apartment complex. No elevator, no security. Even the lights in the stairwell were broken. That day, I arrived on time, pushed open the heavy iron door to the building, and came face to face with a man standing at the first-floor exit. I didn't move. waiting for him to either go upstairs or leave. But he didn't move either. In that moment, I was terrified. What if he was a bad guy? What should I do? Should I run? But my feet felt like they were glued to the floor. I could barely breathe. After what felt like an eternity, someone finally came down the stairs. They asked the man, "Why are you just standing there? Weren't you going out for a smoke?" The man chuckled. "I think I scared this young lady." That man was James. I didn't get a good look at his face that day. Not until later, when he came up to me at school and said hello. He spoke so softly, as if he was afraid of scaring me. He was a gentle, considerate person, very different from Ryan. Ryan was sensitive and melancholy, always weighed down by his worries, timid, and unable to take responsibility. I never liked him very much, especially after James got hurt because of him. By then, James and I were already together. I was furious. While I was cleaning his wound, I asked him, "Weren't you scared?" He gave a sheepish laugh. "Of course I was. But you can't just stand by when your friend is in trouble. Don't worry, I know my limits." James was always like that. He never listened to my advice, and he never needed anyone's help. I asked him why once. He just said he was used to it. Later, I often thought that maybe it was because James was always so stubborn, so macho. And that's why, when a warm, respectful man like Ryan came along, I lost my way. That time he got drunk because he was heartbroken, and I went to pick him up. I listened to him talk about how much he had loved Olivia, listened to him put himself down, saw how much pain he was in. My heart ached for him. I suddenly wanted to hug him, to give him all my love, to save him. And from there, it just spiraled out of control. I started paying more attention to him, caring more about him, feeling more for him. I realized I had feelings for him after one of the partners at my firm told me, "You're getting too emotional. A small case like this shouldn't be affecting you so much. If you're not in the right headspace, let someone else take it. Don't let your feelings get in the way." After he said that, I went up to the roof and just sat there for 3 hours, until Ryan called me. "I made some food. Want to come over?" In that moment, my heart just melted. I even smiled as I answered, "Okay." I had fallen in love with Ryan. I had fallen in love with my husband's best friend. I could feel that he had feelings for me, too. But neither of us ever said anything. We pretended that nothing improper was happening. We pretended we were just doing what normal friends do. We even started to deliberately ignore James's existence. James said my affair with Ryan was a way of getting revenge on him. I denied it, of course. But deep down, I knew he was right. I didn't want to hurt James. I just didn't love him anymore. My heart had moved on to someone else. But I never tried to resolve the situation. I gave up on my own chance at love to protect his dignity, to maintain the illusion that we had a happy family. I hurt myself, and I hurt Ryan, but in my mind, I hadn't hurt James. That's what I thought back then. I was lost and stubborn. But even then, I felt a faint sense of guilt toward James. The first time I felt a real sense of crisis was when James walked in on me and Ryan. That night, he asked us what we were doing. In that moment, both Ryan and I panicked. The shame and embarrassment of being caught made me say things I didn't mean. I accused James of having a dirty mind, trying to cover up my own guilt. That was the first time I thought about ending things with Ryan. So I called Ryan. I said, "Ryan, I like you. The kind of like where I want to be with you. But I can't betray James. Ryan, tell me, what should I do?" Ryan was silent for a long time. Finally, he said, "James is my brother. You can't betray him." We made a promise that as soon as the case was over, we would stop seeing each other. So we treated that time as our last chance to be together. That's why we were so reckless, so careless. But I didn't care anymore. The thought of losing the love of my life made me feel like I had nothing left to lose. True love. It comes on fast, and it fades just as quickly. What is true love, anyway? It was just a rush of hormones. When I realized that James really wanted to divorce me, it felt like I was falling from a great height. I lied to myself. I told myself that James was just angry with me, that as soon as I ended things with Ryan, he would come back to me and love me just like he used to. I went to find Ryan. He looked at me with a complicated expression. "You shouldn't have come," he said. The look in his eyes had changed. It was clear, honest. It was so strange. Just a few days before, we had been madly in love. But James's decisiveness was like a loud alarm bell that instantly woke us both up. Ryan asked me sarcastically, "You never really thought about marrying me, did you?" "What do you mean?" Ryan just laughed and shook his head as he looked at me. "You don't deserve to be James's wife," he said. "And I don't deserve to be his brother." Ryan was just using me to feel better about himself. And me? I was just as blinded by the thrill of an affair, unable to tell right from wrong. Olivia once said, "Everything in this world changes. Why can't I? Why can't my feelings for you change?" I called her a terrible person, but in the end, I became the very person I never wanted to be.